Okay, so let's draw the 4 sympathetic pathways. So first, let's start with a cylinder. This represents our spinal cord. And then let's switch colors. And we'll start with an oval on top connected by smaller circles going down next to the spinal cord. This represents the paravertebral trunk. Okay, so our first pathway option we'll start with the postganglionic pathway. So in a postganglionic pathway, we have our preganglionic neuron coming out of the lateral horn of gray matter in the spinal cord. And it's going to hop on to one of the paravertebral ganglia. It is going to then ascend to the superior cervical ganglia, where it is going to synapse with the postganglionic neurons that I'll put in green. It is then going to hop off the paravertebral trunk and will follow blood vessels to its destination. And then we'll synapse with its effector organ, which is usually something in the head, or it can be the heart or lungs. So let's make the heart our effector there. Okay, so that's the postganglionic pathway. Alright, so the number 2 pathway, we're going to do the spinal nerve pathway next. So spinal nerve pathway, we have the preganglionic neuron coming from the lateral horn of the spinal cord again, hopping on to a paravertebral ganglion, where it is actually going to synapse with the postganglionic neuron. And then it's going to hop off and it's going to go to the spinal nerve. So that's the second option for the pathway, is the spinal nerve pathway. Okay, so the third option is a little trickier. So this is the splanchnic pathway. And in the splanchnic pathway, we again have the preganglionic neuron coming off the spinal cord, going to the paravertebral ganglia, but in this case it does not synapse. It continues until it reaches a structure called the prevertebral ganglia, which I'll do in a different color than purple. Okay, so the prevertebral ganglia is where the preganglionic axon is going to synapse. It's going to synapse with the postganglionic neuron. And since this is the splanchnic pathway, the postganglionic neuron will synapse in one of the abdominal visceral organs. Okay, so that's our third pathway, and that was the splanchnic nerve pathway. Okay, so our fourth and final pathway is going to be the adrenal medulla pathway, and this is somewhat similar to the splanchnic nerve pathway, but it's slightly different. So again, we have our cell body of our preganglionic neuron coming off of the spinal cord, and it travels to the paravertebral trunk. And then it also hops on a splanchnic nerve, goes through the prevertebral ganglia without synapsing. That's a key difference between the splanchnic nerve pathway and this one. And it will directly synapse on cells in the adrenal medulla. So we call this the adrenal medulla pathway. So these are our 4 sympathetic pathways.